Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Gulfstream Today, and welcome to another week of world-class thoroughbred action here in South Florida at Gulfstream Park. Jonah, don't adjust your TV sets. Track announcer Pete Aiello, joined by the radiant Acacia Courtney. And it's another installment of Beauty and the Beast here this week at Gulfstream Park. Ron Nicoletti gets a turn on vacation, so I'll be filling in for Ron. And Acacia, it's great to work with you again.
It's always fun, Pete. Really looking forward to this next few days doing the show together.
Well, we have 8 races on the program here this afternoon. Wagering menu is a plentiful one, as it always is here in South Florida. We started off with the 50-cent early pick 5, which begins on race number 1. Acacia, you have a pick 5 ticket for us. We'll get to that just in a moment.
I do have a pick 5 ticket. The Super High 5 starts in race number 2 today. That's a $1 rolling Super High 5 with any race of 7 horses or more. There's a carryover of $1,767 there.
Yes, and with the 8-race format, we do have the Rainbow 6 offered on race number 3 today. You're playing for a carryover in the Rainbow 6 of $19,310. It's a 20-cent play. Rainbow 6 on the 3rd.
And I'll have a Rainbow 6 ticket as well. And then we close out the day starting in race number 4 with the 50-cent late pick 5.
First post time is 1:15. We're just 59 minutes away from our first race of the afternoon. We'll start our analysis with race number 1. Race 1 on turf at 7.5 furlongs. The main track fast, the turf course firm, sun shining here in South Florida today. And with race number 1, we start that early pick 5, $16,000 claimers on the turf.
We'll give you a look at my ticket. I kept it affordable today, though I was not able to find a single once again in the early part of the card. $36 for me. I went too deep here in this first race. I actually really liked the number 7, McFly, to start. He ended up scratching, so I used 2 other horses that I think might be logical. The 5, Hadron, who's 6-1 on the morning line, and the 6, Storming Inti, who's trying to get out of finishing in the money and actually get to the winner circle.
Well, the good news for Storming Inti is with the scratch of McFly, he has an outside gate, and he appears to be the lone speed and the controlling speed in today's first race. I would be very surprised actually to see him stay at his current 9-2 odds.
That was my thinking with this race here. I thought, again, McFly was going to be the lone speed there, going out to the front and not be caught. He's shown much more pace in his last races. He scratched, of course. Storming Inti did actually go out to the front last time. The track was kind of favoring speed that day. It was a good turf, but he finished second there, beaten just by 2 lengths. I was wondering if he was going to try to press the pace today or if he was going to go up and run with McFly. Today, I think he has pretty much an open leeway to go out to the front, and it's catch me if you can. So I put him on top, though he's 0 for 8 in 2016, 0 for 8 in 2015. So it's kind of been a long time in between drinks, if you will, for this horse. But I think if there's going to be a spot where he can win, it would be right here.
Well, his 78 figure points him out as one of the key contenders in this race, and with the tactical advantage, he does merit some consideration. The winner of his last race, Real Steel, parlayed a perfect trip to victory. He actually sat in behind Stormin' Inti and then kicked off cover, turning for home to spring the upset that day. Number 3, Bridals Holiday, does not make your ticket. He's the other horse on form that has a license to improve. He's second start off the shelf after chasing a loose on the lead winner in Gelfenstein last time out. The other horse you used is a horse going for 3 in a row, Hadron under Jaramillo.
This one is a 3-year-old here racing against some older horses. The only other 3-year-old in the field is the 1, Grand Tupoy. This horse he has probably the best resume, I would say. He's 3 for 7 with 2 in the money. He won last time out and the time before that, but though by pretty slim margins. He's certainly been in good form. He's stepping up a little bit in class now. Next logical jump, I think, for him in the way that he's been winning. So he's going to run at the $16,000 level, but the last time he raced at this level was over at Tampa. He finished a good second that day behind a horse named Diaz, who then has won his last 3 races, been a very, very good runner and very consistent. So I think he's kept some good form and some good company. He's one to watch.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he can chase the pace that doesn't appear to develop in front of him. But that same story applies to pretty much everybody in here, including the number 2, Muser, who's very consistent. I love horses like this. We'll talk about Papa Pig just a little bit later on. They're exactly the same in the sense that they run the same figure every time they run. So from a handicapping perspective, if you figure out what the figure is that you need to win the race, you can figure out where Muser fits. I think he fits awfully good here today.
He does. His last 6 out of the 7 have been in the money performances.
We'll turn now to the second race, race number 2, to start the early pick for this afternoon. Maiden claimers on the bottom at $10,000. A field going 7 furlongs in this race. And going to go back and show you a replay and try to come up with the tactical advantage in this race on number 1 Getaway Car for trainer Richard Creaky. He makes his stable debut for Richard here this afternoon. Now you're looking at his race, not last time because there wasn't much to see, but his race 2 back. Getaway Car sandwiched in the center there. The eventual favorite, Absolute Pinnacle, is on the engine. They set it up for the third place horse, Acacia Legacy Dancer, stalking a pace that at a 1-turn mile, 23 flat on the bottom. That's a deadly first quarter. They went a half mile in 46 seconds flat. That means they went 22-4 in the second quarter. Just too much too soon for Getaway Car. The eventual winner, Legacy Dancer, is on his outside. Absolute Pinnacle would eventually finish second. Absolute Pinnacle came back to be second. I think from the rail with speed, if he can go 46 to the half mile in this race, he'll find himself on the engine. And Gaffleon very effective at carrying speed horses home the final eighth of a mile.
He's good at keeping something for the end, and this horse takes the blinkers off now today. His 2 first starts, were the most impressive ones without the blinkers there too. He actually debuted on a sloppy track at Tampa, a very good second that day. I was impressed by that race against Legacy Dancer as well. Legacy Dancer ran okay last week when he came back. Actually thought he might run a lot better in that performance. He ended up finishing 5th there. So I put the number 2, 7 of Jack on top, who I just gave a little bit of a nod to in this field. This horse is coming back just in 6 days, 1 of 2 in here for Victor Barbosa. He also has the number 5, Gran Identidad, who I think is going to be an interesting one. Gran Identidad, the number 5, is a first-time gelding and adding blinkers on. He's 0 for 13 so far, but he might be a little bit more forwardly placed. Maybe he's a little bit more focused after the gelding. Maybe he's going to be a little bit more forwardly placed with the blinkers, and it might set up for 7 of Jack to have a pretty good trip.
And Gran Identidad, if you want to make a case for a long shot, you got Barbosa first time in the barn. You know he's going to improve on this horse's ability. He hasn't shown much, but he's also been freshened up since then. There are some things to use for the number 5 on the bottom half of your exotics. 7 of Jack is a horse that's never been on the main track. I think running style-wise, he'll appreciate it. He's shown very little turn of foot when racing on the turf. That'll translate well when moving to the main track today.
Yeah, I think he's much more suited for the main track, so I'll be interested to see how he makes that switch over.
The inside pair, the 2 to focus on in the start of the early pick 4. We're going to take a brief time out. When we come back, more great racing action from Gulfstream, including the Rainbow Six.
Next January, 12 horses, $1 million buy-in for a $12 million purse. It is the world's richest race. It is the Pegasus World Cup.
And we're back now with a preview of race number 3 on the program. Once again, if you're just joining us, welcome to Gulfstream Today. Track announcer Pete Aiello, joined by Acacia Courtney. We're taking you through the Thursday card of racing. We're up to race number 3 now. 8 races on the card today, so the third race does begin your Rainbow Six sequence. Maidens on turf for a $20,000 claiming tag. Acacia, we were talking during the break. You and I can't argue. We have the same 3 in the third race.
Yeah, this was a really interesting race to start off the Rainbow Six. We'll let you have a look at my ticket in here. And I went 3 deep in here with the 1, 2, and the 4. I think that the number 2, Kiss the Crown, is going to be a really logical one in here. The 1, Spitesfire, coming off a more than 15-month layoff. Kiss the Crown coming off a layoff as well. I added the 4, Princess Dom, who has recency on her side. My single came in race number 7. And now this is a guide trying to keep it affordable. I think that race number 7 is one of the most interesting races on the card today. 6 is where I went the deepest. That's a really good allowance optional claiming as well. But I singled the 3, Freedom March, in the 7th race today, a maiden special weight, a mile on the turf. I just think that this filly is really eligible to improve off that last effort.
Well, we actually disagree there, so
All
at
right.
least we'll have something
Good.
to argue about later on the program. No argument here on the third race, though. Maidens on Turf, the $20,000 price tag adds a certain layer of intrigue to this race, as do two horses down inside. The one, Spicefire, has been off over a year. The two, Kiss the Crown, is approaching a year layoff. We'll get to the good news on Kiss the Crown first. She debuted across town at Gulfstream West. She lost to eventual stakes winner Dearest and eventual stakes winner Our Girl's a Charmer. My Good Venezuela also came back to be a pretty nice racehorse. That's the good news. The bad news is she hasn't been seen since. She got beat 25 lengths in that race, and I think we have a stat to show you that doesn't exactly stoke the fire.
Right, so this is a stat on trainer Mike Maker in the past 5 years, with horses coming off a more than 180-day layoff and going from maiden special weight ranks to maiden claiming. A relatively small sample, but 4 for 11, 36% win, 6 for 11, 55% of the time in the money. A $2.81 ROI. So I actually think that it was a pretty reasonable stat. I think it does add a little bit more intrigue to Kiss the Crown. Now, I think this is what you would call good news for that kind of stat.
Yeah.
The other really good news for this horse is the 3 workouts, the 3 most recent ones that we see on her tab. All bullets, very impressive works coming in. Now, is she going to break from the gate, show some speed, and then fade because she's been off for maybe almost a year? That's entirely possible, but she certainly looks from those works like she's going to be coming in fit.
Well, the thing about it is she's making her 3-year-old debut. Her first race, something obviously went wrong. You don't take that much time off after racing against maidens and then just disappear like that. The thing is that I love about your stat, now that I see it in print, is that if you look in the racing form and you're looking at the extended layoff and the maiden claiming ranks and the second start of the career, those are all terrible statistics. You're looking at 68-cent ROIs, 43-cent ROIs, but you found a statistic where Mike Maker excels, and I like that because that tells more of the story here.
I'm trying to give a little bit more information for this horse, and she's certainly showed, if not just based off the company that she kept in her debut, she was really well beaten. She only beat 2 horses in there. One of them, Ayla, came out to win again. So maybe she just kept some good company. As you said, something was wrong there. I used the number 1, Spicefire, just based off the performances and the work tab that she has had. But again, she's coming off a more than 15-month layoff. She switched over to her turf in her very last start in May of 2015, and now she is coming back. She's going to stick on the turf. I thought it was a relatively solid performance. She seemed to show more speed on the dirt, but you don't really know sometimes how they're going to run off these layoffs.
Yeah, the thing about Spicefire that I found the bad news, if I can play devil's advocate, her best figure to date is a 59. That was the first start of her life at Aqueduct on the main track. Her race on turf was a 51 figure. Theoretically, not only is she going to have to be ready, she's actually going to have to improve off the layoff. 2 things I don't know if I can really pilot.
Ralph Nix does have a lot of horses that come off of layoffs pretty frequently, and he does a good job getting them back into race-ready fitness. But as I mentioned, the number 4, Princess Dom, does have some recency on her side. She is now 3rd off of a bit of a layoff, a bit of a freshening, but much less compared to the other 2 we've been talking about. She ran in February, came back in July, and then raced in September. She has some early speed. She finished 4th in her turf start last time out. I think she's going to be the main threat to the favorites.
Well, she's cutting back here this afternoon, and her first race on turf was not bad, all things considered. It was her return to South Florida. It was her first trip on turf. There were some unknown variables going on that day. Now she cuts back. She should be able to get a nice stalking trip off the flank of the 2 comebackers, who I figured will show the most speed.
I agree with you there, so we'll see if coming off the layoff can be victorious.
Well, we'll turn now to the 4th race. The 4th race on the program starts the 50-cent late pick 5. Claimers in for a price tag of $6,250. And we have a horse in here that's the morning line choice. He's a horse that we talked about a little earlier on. He runs his same race every time. You have to appreciate that if you're Antonio Sano, because you can get a gauge on where you belong. And he hasn't had any problem getting into the entry box. This will be his 19th start this year, talking about number 4, Papa Pig.
And he took full advantage of the conditions in here. This race is this is for 3-year-olds and up, which have never won 3 races, or 3-year-olds. This is the only horse in this field who does have 3 wins, and the last 2 were pretty recent. He's coming off of a victory, so he's got, again, that recency on his side. He finished 2nd, beaten just by a head, 2 back, came back to win last time out. He's been in really great form. He was a solid 4th at a huge price a few starts back in a tougher level. I think that, as you said, he's a consistent horse in here, and yes, he's that big one-run closer, but he's just been in such good form lately.
Well, he has no turn of speed when you get right down to it. Papa Pig will run at one pace the entire trip. If they come back to him, he'll run them down. If they don't, he'll run in place. That's good news and bad news all at the same time. Papa Pig definitely is a horse that has to be included on your multi-leg exotics.
Speaking of that, we were talking about Papa Pig's running style. A horse that I think might be a threat to his running style is the number 9, Totally Evil, on the outside. Added blinkers 2 back and then dropped to this level last time out and moved over to the dirt. And that horse won by nearly 5 lengths last time in non-winners of 2. So now next logical level here. Has some early speed, certainly seemed to show that early speed primarily on the dirt. Want to give you a trainer stat on trainer Tammy Levy in the past 5 years with horses that won last time out in the claiming ranks. 18 for 66, 27% win 52% of the time in the money and a positive ROI of 227. So for me, Totally Evil looked to be one of the main threats.
Indeed, and I think the 5, Janino, is a horse that's going to be either a thorn in the side of Totally Evil or himself is going to get a good trip because of Totally Evil. I think that Janino would be wise if you just try to get Totally Evil to cross in front of him and then angle outside and stalk the pace. I don't think there's as much speed as either one of these horses have been facing here today.
It might set up for them to be a little bit easier, cushiony trip on the front end. Might make it a bit harder for Papa Pig.
Yeah, number 1, Cold Blood, should get some airtime. First start for Barbosa Jr. He's actually been gelded since his last race.
Well, I'm going to cut you off first. He's actually a scratch.
Oh, well, good. Thank you for that.
Right. Unless he says just change for a gelding, then I might be wrong about that.
No, you're probably right.
All right.
I try not to flip my program and make it completely obvious what's going on. Yes, indeed. Scratch
right.
the 1, Cold Blood, and the 6, or the 8 or 6 man. It takes some starch out of the race as well. The 8 figured to show some speed. So thanks for the save there. Running would have left me hanging high and dry. We'll turn now to the 5th race. Race number 5 starts the late pick 4 on turf, $16,000 claimers, which have not won 2. We talked about a horse in your Rainbow 6 ticket that is definitely the horse to beat in here. She went from having a perfect trip to having a terrible trip in about 3 strides last time out. Sweet Elegance. She was very well spotted. You can't blame Panici. He had her in a position to win. Unfortunately, she got boxed in and then couldn't shake loose when she needed to.
She did. We want to go back and show that race. This is from August 20th. Sweet Elegance boxed in on the rail. I want to show the start of the race to begin. She's the number 2 here this day. Show early. She kind of, bumps around a little bit, gets moved back. She usually sits just behind the speed, so it looks like she's starting out okay. She had to steady there again. You see she's got the white blaze there. So now you see she's completely boxed in of this race here. She has no place to go, and that was just kind of how it continued on. My biggest problem with this race was that once she did have running room at the end, she didn't really have much of a response. And I can certainly argue that, yes, it took a lot of energy out of her. It was mixed signals to the horse when she was boxed in. She didn't have places to run. She was the odds-on favorite there, dropping in class as well. And she was beaten by a 30-1 upset. So, yes, a lot of excuses. I still have a few questions left on her.
Fair enough, I suppose. My argument to the counter argument to that would be that by the time Sweet Elegance shook loose, the chicken had already flown the coop. Some Florida Sun Fun had circled wide and was kicking on with momentum. She had all her momentum taken out of her when she couldn't get out.
And like I said, that's fair. She has some excuses. The other problem I had was that she had 3 seconds prior to that, and I have a tough time sometimes with horses that just seem to be stuck in second gear. So I gave a nod in here to the number 7, Smokin' Red Hot, who's stretching out from the 5 furlongs to the mile here today. Last 2 starts at 5 furlongs were very solid finishes, sat just behind the speed. 2 back finished 3rd, was actually bumped up to 2nd after being bumped and exchanging some traffic and trouble. This horse has a really nice work tab. A few starts back in March, ran 7.5 furlongs, so the two turns on the turf, and finished a 2nd behind a runaway winner that day, First Girl, but I thought best of the rest that day. I think she'll handle the 2 turns just fine.
The question will be, when she handles the 2 turns, is what does she do tactically? Does she want to try to the lead? I don't think that's a good idea, because the outside horse, Great Euphrates, will stop at nothing to make the lead, so she'll have to stalk. Acacia, you were gone all summer. Ronnie and I had this angle that worked and worked and worked and worked, and I think this might be the last time you can use it. 2nd start from Maryland for trainer Alan Hunter. Smokin' Red Hot fits it like a glove.
Well, there you go. So it makes me feel even better about putting the 7 on top.
Well, let's turn now to race number 6. It's a very good horse race. It's the Thursday feature, an allowance optional claiming event for a $44,000 purse. They go 7 furlongs. This is a throwback to some of the great handicap divisions that we've seen in South Florida over the years, and it's a rivalry that I look forward to calling again today. It's going to be Your Dreams Are Mine against We're All Set. They've faced each other the last 3 times. It's currently 2-1 in favor of Your Dreams Are Mine.
Well, Your Dreams Are Mine won the Groomstick last time out and then won at this 62.5 optional claiming level 2 back. So looking for the 3rd win in a row here today. And I know that you want to show the first victory.
Yeah, well, I want to go back and show you We're All Set actually beating himself, in my view. This was the last time he raced. This was on the 5th of August here at Gulfstream Park. That's We're All Set with an inside gate. That didn't help Zayas' options. He went actually very, very nice in the opening quarter, 24-3. That's walking. Here's the problem, though. The opening half mile is going to go in 46-4. That's a huge second quarter, and then he's going to go 3 quarters in 9 and change. The middle fractions there just did in. We're All Set. Your Dreams Are Mine was very well handled that day by jockey Tyler Gaffleone as he allowed him to stalk the pace setter and push him just enough. He made this horse crack. You can see circled there by director Lance, 46-4 after a 24 opening quarter. When you go 9-2 and you have a horse like Your Dreams Are Mine that can finish up, I mean, look, they're well clear of everybody else. We're All Set actually beat himself, in my view, second quarter, and the middle fractions there just too much, where Your Dreams Are Mine got a perfect setup that day. Now, go to his next race, which Acacia wants to show. Your Dreams Are Mine's going to run them all down again.
This was in the Groomstick. Didn't have We're All Set to deal with today. As Pete mentioned, that race 2 back for Your Dreams Are Mine was really a 2-horse race. Here's the Groomstick. He's the number 4 that day. This was on August 27th. So Your Dreams Are Mine has one more recent start versus We're All Set. He comes on the outside. The gray horse there, the number 6, Mr. Baker, seemed to drift out a little bit in the stretch. It seems like he pushes Your Dreams Are Mine, out even a little bit more. He had to go kind of wide. Just kind of effortless how he rolls on by the rest of the field in here. I think he's going to get a perfect trip again today, and that's because We're All Set is, yes, going to be the speed. He's got another speedy horse in here to deal with. It's kind of an unknown entity, and that's the number 3, Day of Fury, who's first off the claim for David Fox, making his South Florida debut. He's not run at Gulfstream before. He's coming down from Saratoga. He was one that was actually went out to Santa Anita, was claimed with David Jacobson over there, and then he's been very popular at the claim box since. He's now in the barn of Dave Fox, as I mentioned. He brings him down here, stepping up in class, yes, but he's got that speed, and if you look at the fractions, it looks like he's either going to be ahead or up with We're All Set, which could set up perfectly again for Your Dreams Are Mine.
Just my opinion, but I think Zayas takes a big handful of rain to number 8, We're All Set. You have the outside gate. You don't need the lead. You had to use your speed last time out when you had the rail draw. Now you got the outside gate with a horse who wants the front. Go ahead and let him go, and then that way you don't have to go so fast too soon. Your Dreams Are Mine will need a setup like he got the last 2 times, but tough to ignore him. He's a completely different racehorse since changing barns.
He's really come into his own, especially in the last few starts, and his last 5 have been 3 wins in 2 seconds, so nothing to knock there for him. Really exciting race number 6.
Well, let's turn to the 7th race now and hear about Acacia Courtney's single in the Rainbow 6 today. Number 3, Freedom March. These are maidens on turf at 1 mile, special weight division. I found this race a little more wide open than you did, but I'm not going to argue with the idea that Freedom March continues to round into form for Marty Wolfson.
I just think that she's improved so much, and in trying to find a single, I was trying to keep my ticket affordable, trying to have a guide there. Would I be completely shocked if somebody else came and surprised and beat her in this race? No, not completely. But that being said, I think she's the one to beat. They added the blinkers last time out. She was the favorite. She was only beaten by 3/4 of a length. Certainly her best start. She started racing over in Europe and Great Britain. After about a year layoff, came back and started on July 4th running here in America. She's had 2 fourths. With the addition of the blinkers last time out, she was more forwardly placed and had that very solid 2nd place finish. I love the work tab in here. Emmy Salhe Romeo going to be aboard once again.
There are a lot of things to like if you want to play devil's advocate, and everybody knows I love to do that. For Freedom March has not shown a propensity to just have that quick quick turn of speed that you need to win going long on the turf. She has not. She's more of a grinded out type horse. Now, speaking of that style might work here because she'll be in front of some of the other contenders. The key question will be for me, what happens with number 1, Sweet Summer Sweat? If you're a fan of Hotel California, this is the horse for you. Number 1, Sweet Summer Sweat, getting around 2 turns for the first time. She should have speed from the inside gate. She's the one to catch and beat in race number 7 at a bit of a price.
I can imagine that she'll certainly go out to the front. The number 5, Invidia, hasn't been able to make it to the winner's circle in 9 starts so far, but has posted some good performances. She's not the most consistent type. She's adding the blinkers here. I wonder if she'll even be a little bit more forwardly placed with the addition of blinkers once again.
Yeah, it's interesting that they add the blinkers because she sat closer last time out, and it didn't work out too well for him. Why would you ask her for more speed? Her best rate to date, she was 11th and last and closed good ground to be second. But I don't question Ronnie Werner. He's won a lot more horse races than I have.
A very nice race, number 7. Really solid maiden special weight with a nice field of 9 in there.
Well, the 8th and final race is on turf, $8,000 claimers at a 1-mile trip. This race, from a division standpoint, always seems to produce an upset winner. And because it's the last race on the card, it always seems to be the toughest race of the day. Number 8, Kokomo, was expected to win last time out, grinded out, and then takes a logical step up in class. Number 3, Little Twitch, is a horse that's dropping in class today, one facing Wide Open Company. Little Twitch appears the one to beat. You're going with Kokomo. They're the 2 logical plays.
They are the 2 logical ones. I gave the nod to Kokomo in here. She kind of changed her running style a bit and was much further back last time out. They rated her. She had to go a bit wide. She didn't have the cleanest of trips. She was able to get that win by a length as the favorite. It was her first time ever being the favorite. Her last couple of starts, she had shown a little bit more speed. I wonder where the speed is going to come from in this race, and I'm wondering if it's going to be from her. She has a pretty decent draw in here. I think that she's really set up well, and she had the outside post last time, 10 of 10. I think that coming from the 8 here and with the scratch of the 5, our sister Anaya in here, I think that she might go out to the front, and she just might not be able to get caught, and nobody may go with her. The 3, Little Twitch, might be a little bit more forwardly placed as well. She's been stuck finishing in the money. She was 2nd, 3rd, and 3rd in her last few starts. She finished 2nd last time out behind Paparie, who finished 2nd and then won in her next start, so she's kept some good company. Yes, I think these 2 are the logical ones, but a little bit of a question mark race, as you said.
Yeah, when you brought that up, I went back and looked again. You're right, there's no speed in here, but golly, Little Twitch has just been running against such superior horses. I mean, she's favored 3 starts ago against the hottest racehorse in South Florida in Defying Gravity, who would come back to win and probably win 3 more races after that. She just keeps on winning.
She's on a 5-win streak now.
Yeah, and Little Twitch was 2nd behind Paparie. She was 3rd as the favorite behind Key Agent in a bulky race in which she ran well. She is just a horse that has to get through that second-itis. She's running against so much better, though.
She really has, and Edgar Zayas is going to stay aboard. He rode her last time, and maybe she just moves a little bit forward too and finally gets through to the winner's circle. She hasn't won a race since January, so it's certainly time for her.
The horse that you used in the 3rd position appears to me to be the 3rd best horse in here, number 9, Vineyard Nina. I was on the bandwagon the last 2 times. She disappointed me, but I went back to the well last time out, and she proved it was a good idea. She won for fun at odds of almost 6 to 1. The problem is, as we've already talked about, Vineyard Nina makes these long, sustained runs from the back. If you have no pace in front of you, that's tough to do.
That's my biggest question mark with her here. She settled last time and then was able to win so impressively in that race. What's she going to settle behind today?
Yeah, exactly. She got a perfect trip last time out. I don't envision such a smooth sail here this afternoon. 8 races on the program, 32 minutes to first race. Post time, Rainbow 6 in the 3rd. Pick 5s on races 1 and 4. I got my math right. 4 here this afternoon. Yes. A fast main track, a firm turf course. I'll be back momentarily with a reprise of the scratches and changes. Keisha will be back in just a few minutes with a preview of race 1. Good luck today at Gulfstream Park.
Hey girls, grab your friends. It's time to get your game on at Gulfstream.